Okay, so the Cambridge Resilience Web is a relatively new project. It's come about in the last 8 to 9 months, I think, and it's been gradually building. And so today is very much just about introducing these webs to you, telling you a little bit about them. Just a brief overview, we'll talk about who we are, what the webs are, how they've come about, and then we'll do a demonstration of both of the webs, because there are two webs, the City Web and the University Webs. And then we will have a little chance to talk about why these webs, what we aim to do with these webs. And then talking about our current directions, how to get involved, and then probably quite a long period for discussion at the end. So first of all, who are we? Well, we're a very diverse bunch of people from several community groups in Cambridge and also from the university. And we just share an interest in trying to make the many groups in Cambridge more accessible, more visible for people who want to know what's going on in Cambridge. So what are the webs? The webs are interactive digital visualizations of the climate change, environmental and social justice related organizations and groups in and around Cambridge. There are currently two webs. There's a City Web, which has about 125 groups in it, and a University Web with about 165 groups. The University Web focuses on the University of Cambridge at the moment. And both of these webs, which have been developed independently, the source code is available freely on GitHub. So how did the webs come about? Well, initially, Meg Clark created this paper version as part of a permaculture design for Transition Cambridge. And she was just interested, where does Transition Cambridge fit within the wider ecosystem of groups in Cambridge? So that was like a kind of starting point for me and for Meg. And so it was immediately obvious that as soon as you create a paper version, you discover all the groups you've missed out or all the things you've got wrong, and you can't keep rewriting a paper version. So we put something out there saying, would someone be willing to help digitize this? And Dinah Ishmael came along and helped to digitize the City Web, which is this one at the top here. And because we put that call out, we also got in touch with various other people, such as Helen Cook, who had already started to make a similar database of groups. So she offered to help with populating the web with data. And then we also got in touch with Lena Morrell, who had started a similar web with university groups. And she knew Charlie Barty King, who'd started a similar list. So it seems like a lot of people came up with this idea at more or less the same time. And we were able to link up with each other and start working together to really improve these webs and make them as useful as possible. So at this point, I'd like to invite Dinah to do a demo of the City Web, and I will stop sharing screen and I think he will start.
We'll do that. Screen number. Oh, hello everyone. Can you all hear me? Cool. Yes, as Anna mentioned, I worked on building the digital version of the City Web, and I've also added a nice pretty website around the two webs, kind of wraps them together. As you can see, they're both linked here. I'm going to go into the City one now, and you'll see this is the kind of map version of the web that initially Meg created. What this helps with is finding a group that you maybe want to help out with, see what's actually happening in the city. So you can see they're all listed by categories. You can even filter, and you can see kind of like multiple categories at the same time. You can also filter, you can see only the organizations that are currently seeking volunteers. Well, it doesn't show all of them that might be seeking volunteers yet, because we don't yet have them joined as admins on the platform. There's also another view that another way to view this, which is as a list like this, and they're all kind of clickable if you need to get more information. And let's say that I want to find a group that is in the food category, and I can see here that, for example, Cambridge Community Kitchen is seeking volunteers. So I can go through, read a bit more, and go to the website and apply to become a volunteer. So that's making it really easy, bringing it all in one place, and the same kind of filtering section happens here as well. It's all here in one place. I'm sure there are groups that we're missing, but there are new groups applying to be added every few days. There are more and more. It's important to mention that this isn't just a thing that we just a couple of volunteers have to maintain. You know, we have to keep information up to date. It's something that we want to get representatives of those groups to join as admins on the platform, and then they take control of their own group and keep it up to date, keep the information up to date. The way we do that is from the admin dashboard. There are a few of us who are admins, but we can invite other people to be admins of specific groups. And I can do that from here. So this is the admin dashboard. At the moment, I am an admin of all of the groups, so I can edit everything. But if I want, I can invite one of you. Let me know, by the way, if you think you can represent one of the groups, and I can just send you an invite and you can take control of that. So I can invite someone and select the group that they can then edit and send them. They will receive a nice email invitation that can and they can activate their account. So here on the listings, as I mentioned earlier, you can edit. Let's say I want to go again to Cambridge Community Kitchen. I want to update something here, maybe. Yeah, there's something issue there. But basically, I can say that, for example, we have loads of volunteers. We don't need volunteers anymore. We're actually getting too many requests. I can update that. I can update any links, more information. More features are being added as we go. This is just a basic functionality that we've worked on so far, and we have a few features in mind to add as we go. And yeah, that's kind of the demo. And this is it basically, but there are lots of things that are being worked on in the background. And do get in touch if you have web development skills, by the way. We'd love to get some help. I will pass on to Lena.
Thank you, Dina. I'll share my screen now. So hopefully you can see my screen now with a map. I will talk about the university map. And this is a project that I've now been spending almost a year working on in one way or another. For the purpose of this demonstration, I will use a local version of the map, but if you click on this university link, you're going to see exactly the same map. So now you can see how all the nodes are rearranging themselves in a sort of optimal way for visualization. The map contains 188 nodes and 367 edges. You can find the list of nodes by scrolling down this list here, sorted alphabetically. And I'm now going to show you some of the features of the map. If you click on any of the nodes, you go to their website. And you can also select nodes by theme. So the themes that I have added to the map are those 12 down here. So we have carbon, which is for the most part research that has to do with alternatives to carbon, food, nature, etc. You can click on any of these themes here in this drop-down menu, and you will get the subset of nodes that relate to this theme. So for instance, you can see how, well, food actually is quite little, but you have Cambridge University Food Bank Society, Vegan Society, etc. And there's also another way of sort of seeing how the information relates to each other, which is to create alternative versions of the map. So right now, this map is called the simplified version, in that it doesn't contain all of the nodes or all of the edges of my database. It has only a subset of them, so that there are few overlaps in between, well, overlaps of edges. So you can also create the map with all of the nodes here, which you can see is much messier, because of course things relate to each other quite a lot. And that was actually one of the reasons why I wanted to create the map in the first place, just to see how all of these associations within the university relate to each other. you can see how one of the central nodes is the Cambridge University node here. And now soon you will see how there's also a part of the map down here with all of the colleges, each with their own crest. If you feel like your college has a green society which should feature in the map, I'm very happy for any of you to get in touch. There's a give us feedback button here on the left, where you can give any feedback or say that you would want to, well, that you think that some nodes should be added to the map, or that you want to get involved in the creation of the map in any way. And there's also an FAQs button, in which actually leads you to the GitHub repository, where you can find both the code and the input data. The input data actually being simply 2 Excel spreadsheets with all of the nodes with their information, such as their website and all of the edges. So with that, I sort of wanted to create this transparent open source resource so that people could use to see what was going on within the university, and it complements the city map. So with that, I think I'm going to end my demo.
Okay, thank you very much, Dina and Lena. Great demos. So at this point, we wanted to tell you a little bit about why we made these webs and what we hope they might be useful for. And we discovered that we all had very different ideas on that. So we decided the easiest way to do it was to each tell you our vision as a sort of almost like as a beginning for a discussion. We will have a couple of slides after, and then we'll go into discussion. So I guess, well, Helen, would you like to start? What's your vision?
Yeah, thanks, Anna. So I see this web as a really good way to get an overview of everything that's happening in Cambridge. I started putting this information together, as Anna said, because there are so many different groups working on so many different things. So this is a good way to get a general idea of who's working on what. I hope people will be able to use these maps to find groups that are aligned with their values and that they can volunteer with. And I hope it will also be used by the groups themselves to identify potential collaborators, and thereby have this network act as a force multiplier for any of the work that's happening in any individual group.
Okay, thanks, Helen. Dina, would you like to say something about your vision?
So yeah, this is the most exciting project I've worked on, and it's the kind of thing that is very useful and a lot of people would love to see exist, but it's not profitable. So which probably explains why something like it doesn't exist yet in the system. But here it is in all its shining glory. And I think the perfect use case for it is this: say you move to a new city for a job, at Cambridge in our example. You don't know anyone other than work colleagues, and you have some free time. But you find out about Cambridge Resilience Web, and through it, you can contact a few groups that are looking for volunteers. Within days, you found a way to help out, made friends, and found your place in the local community. Yeah, and one of the things we lost in the current individualist capitalist system is strong, resilient communities. And to me, a resilient community is one that has strong mutual aid networks where people come to each other's aid in times of crisis. And a resilient community is one that doesn't harm the natural world. And I think the resilience webs help with creating that. And another thing I would add is that we've seen in recent years how technology, which was meant to bring us together, in fact, often creates divisions. You might have seen the interview with the Facebook whistleblower or the social dilemma on Netflix. But these resilience webs are an example of something clearly positive and with immense potential. And we built so much with minimal resources, just now in our spare time, with no funding yet. And so with your help, maybe we can develop it further and expand to other cities. And I myself moved to Durham recently, and I'm planning to create the Durham's Resilience Web. So we'll see that hopefully as well.
Thank you, Dina. Lena, would you like to go next?
Thanks. So I think from my point of view, and perhaps more pragmatically, I only very recently became involved in sustainability at the university. And one of the things that I noticed first was that there seemed to be very many associations, so many that actually I couldn't keep up with everything that they were doing. So I started creating the web just for myself to see what was out there when it comes to societies, etc. And then I was talking to many people from the Engage for Change program, which is a program which is part of the Cambridge Hub. And it seemed to be very useful to all of them as well. And this would push me to, well, get in contact with Anna and Meg and Lina to try to see if we could do some sort of joint map or try to, to make use of the momentum we seem to have and try to make a bigger map. So perhaps Meg wants to talk about her original map. I'm not sure.
Thanks, Lena. Well, I just did it as a part of a permaculture project I was doing for Transition Cambridge, and it seemed to me really important to find out where transition sat in the greater Cambridge scene of organisations that were basically environmentally and socially based for justice in both of those ways. And I did see it also, as you did, about how things connect with each other. And I think it's really important, as Dina said, for organisations to meet each other through it, and hopefully it will enable, or Helen as well said, that it will enable other groups to meet, and more will come of it, and it can expand. And I've really loved the way it's been digitised. It's way, way beyond my capacity. I'm very grateful that it's gone that way. And I love the way that you've just explained the great use of a digital thing to make dinner. Thank you. And I'll pass on to Anna.
Okay, so yeah, just a few other things that I suppose I've had in mind. First of all, for me, I'm much more of a visual person, so I love the fact that you can look at it, you can almost feel it. You know, it's not just a list. So I think that for me, that's a big thing. Another aspect that seems so important is that when we see it, each of us feels part of a bigger movement, because we know that we're part of this great web of people walking in the same direction with the same aims to create a better world in all these different ways. So I think it can help us feel part of something bigger, and it can actually help to create that bigger thing, that larger movement, and larger movements can create larger scale change. So I think it's a really important part of us linking up to do that. And finally, something we talked about is it's a web of resilience. And in ecology, in ecosystems, the connections help build the resilience of the ecosystem. So if you've got only 2 or 3 species, it doesn't have the same level of resilience as if you've got, say, 100 all interconnected. And in a sense, this web helps us understand how that works at the level of community groups and groups within the university. And it's something we'd like to explore, how to work with that, how to help that really build resilience in the community. But I don't know, they're questions really. But yeah, those are some of my ideas about why we're doing this and where it can go. Okay, can I hand over to Helen now, who's going to just present the last couple of slides, and then we're going to come to some of your questions. I see some good questions in the chat. There we are.
So our current direction, so things we're immediately working on next, we're currently going through and updating information in the web. So we're contacting each group and giving them the admin access that Dinner showed, so that they can upload change their own information, they can manage it going forward. In terms of the web development, Dinner is adding some new features, and there's ongoing maintenance with both of the webs. We're also connecting to other people who are doing similar things. So we've met with Lindsay O'Donnell, who's working with Anglia Ruskin and creating a web around the food bank and other resources like that, really focused on like the resources instead of the groups. So we're connecting with her and seeing how we can collaborate and to build connections between our 2 projects. And lastly, we're trying to publicize the webs. So events like this, and we're asking you to please share this if you think it's useful, share this with your networks as well, so that we can continue to spread the word. And if you go to the next slide, thanks. If you'd like to get involved, we'd be very happy to have you at our meetings. We would like to hear your ideas and to find out how we can improve the webs, how we can make them the most useful to you and your organizations. And if you would like to make a donation, we have an open collective link now. So all of our funding is, and how the funds are used is very transparent on this website. So you can check that out if you would like to donate. And if you would like to join us, here's our email address for cambridgeresilienceweb@gmail.com. And yeah, let us know if you would like to join our meetings, or if you know of a group that we've missed that should be on the web, then please let us know. And then we'll move into Q&A. So I'll turn it back over to Anna to run the Q&A.